Hello, and it's Friday. So, what happened? My schedule has been a little off. I've been looking for a job, so as a lot of things are happening at once, I've ran into some issues trying to get these posted. Trying to work ahead, but some of the best laid plans don't necessarily work out like they're supposed to. So, I'm going to be posting this today. And then I'll be back on schedule next week, hopefully, this time around. But I just wanted to cover today the nutrition factor. It's a little unique to me in the sense of what I've got. I know it's going to be different for everybody else, but nutrition is going to be really important in the sense of it's going to be like one of the key factors to keep me on track, losing weight, getting healthy. And so some of the key differences for me, comparative to some people, I know some of the things that I've got personally, and it may be the same for a lot of people. I've got hypertension, I've got diabetes, obviously suffered a heart attack. When you factor all these things in, and you have to start working a kind of like a what I'd be thinking of like a food like just I guess nutrition plan, I guess you would say. There's a lot of foods that unfortunately I cannot necessarily have like I used to. Like having burgers, I would have very often, can't. Another thing that I couldn't necessarily have is, anything that's really salty that I used to have, like even Mexican food, for instance. I always had to be careful with that at this point. So my condition's kind of unique in the sense that my cardiologist has limited me to, well, and my thoracic surgeon has limited me to 2,000 milligrams of salt. So 2,000 milligrams of salt is really not a lot when you factor in how much salt we take. So a lot of people who will end up eating like ultra processed foods will typically have a lot of salt in them. So things like ramen is a bad idea. Obviously, because ramen will take a big chunk out of it to even some cases. Some ramens are just insane with somewhere around like 1,200 milligrams for like less than like 6-7 ounces of food or something. But so something for me for nutrition factor, as of like a meal plan for me. So something that I've been doing is typically eating some of the leaner meats. So turkey, I do factor in a little pork, and most recently I do turkey burgers that are processed, but I make sure that the amount I take in is not that much. Again, 2,000 milligrams of salt is, it seems like a lot. It is doable, except you do run into a situation where the salt you edge up past that 2,000 milligram point when you start eating like any of the processed foods. So like my day is blown when I get to that point. Some of the other things that you can do though, obviously, is when you're exercising. Some of that, back and forth, you'll end up back going yo-yoing a little bit with how much you intake. Hopefully, that'll get to a point where I can balance it out. But what I typically look at in a day, like a kind of like a, I guess a weekly basis, is like chicken. I try to actually use chicken thigh. You should be using chicken breast, but I don't. Not all the time anyway. Um, I do use like a pork cutlet or something, with, and I usually try to offset this with veggies. When I use salt, I do use it sparingly. People that I am with will end up using more salt in the food just because while I can taste salt, really sensitive to it now, because I've been off of it for so long, prior to my surgery and everything else, that I can taste a little bit, and when there's a lot, it's pretty hard to take in because it's very salty to me. But so, like, a typical meal day for me would be something like, um, or has been, like a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, and then sometime around lunch, I would look into maybe a snack food, or like maybe a granola bar or something, or maybe some yogurt. Um, what else have I done for lunch? Sometimes a salad even. I know that sounds strange, but it's to it's to offset, keep myself regular. But I usually try to get some type of veggie in, like a salad, to get some roughage in my system. And then usually my lunch, or my dinner, excuse me, is like this past time was these turkey burger and some cauliflower and broccoli. So it's relatively healthy. I'm not 100%. I think I checked these. The turkey burgers weren't homemade; they were processed. But I think the amount of sodium in them was only like 460 milligrams or something like that. So it's not too bad. Um, but that would be like a typical Monday, or you know, Tuesday or whatever. When I go and say I eat out a heavy meal for a celebration with someone recently, I try to keep my intake for foodstuffs kind of low, just because I know that 2,000 milligrams is going to probably be blown there at a dinner, just because the amount of salt that's used in a lot of foods at a lot of restaurants. So I try to keep small, you know, maybe something like a, maybe a small chicken sandwich or something. Like I'll cook chicken, shred it up, and have that as a meal or something. But I try to stay away from chicken breasts. As much as I like chicken thigh more, I know my cardiologist probably doesn't want to hear that, but I do try to even it out and eat some chicken breast when I can. When I do get chicken thigh, I do get some chicken breast sometimes, and but I try to keep servings. The other secret to keeping healthy is keeping servings to an actual, like, legitimate size. So if you have a plate that's like a 10 or 12 inch plate or something, I'm not eating 10 to 12 inches of food. That's really a key. And then the other key is exercise on the back end of that. So my So my Monday through Friday actual schedule kind of looks like mm, every morning is usually like a bowl of oatmeal or something of that nature, oats, granola, and then lunch is just kind of hit and miss. Um, I s- while while typically I'm not hungry during lunch, I will still try to eat something during lunch because it's a situation where your stomach is going to produce acids during lunch, to digest food, and if you don't eat, you're going to probably tear up your stomach over time. Dinner's another one, so uh, oats are typically a weekly thing in the morning. Um, when I get to lunches, sometimes I try to eat a salad. Sometimes I try to eat um, uh, just something light. And then dinner is usually some type of meal that varies from chicken, turkey, um, pork, and every now and then I will factor in some beef, but it's not compared to what I used to. So the other situation I have besides my heart attack is um, I'm diabetic, so I have to keep sugar content low for me. Um, so if I eat veggies or things like that, or not veggies, excuse me, fruits, I try to stay. Um, I try to stay away from high sugar content fruits. And if I do eat any sugar high content fruits, so high sugar content fruits would be like oranges, typically citrus, um, and when you get down to like stone fruits, which are a little bit lower in glycemic value, strawberries are considered like low glycemic value. Grapes are high uh, sugar value, so um, I try to eat less of those things. So if I do eat them, so when I was recuperating with my heart attack initially, they allowed me to eat grapes, but I needed to limit myself to a small amount, just so that sugar content wouldn't like hurt my diabetes. Um, so it's just kind of a one big balancing act when you come to the nutrition factor. Um, so on one side, it's to make sure that I try to stay under the 2,000 milligram a day for salt content, and then at the same time try to keep on the low end of the sugar value for um, the diabetic side. And so it's a big balancing act for me. I think I'm slowly grasping it. The other side of this is cooking your own food. And I know some people who are on the go, and I've done it, and I know probably other people done it, where you're on the go, you don't think you have time for food or time to make food, and you get food out. It's just a factor that happens. And the only thing I can say is, if you have the time on a day off, pre-prep your food. I know a lot of people, they'll pre-prep by, they will set up their food on a day off and, make half their meals or even make all their meals that they can do meal prep on or actually cook. And then, that's what they have throughout the day. I know some people who, and these are the things that unfortunately I didn't do like I should have prior to my heart attack. Like, I would stick with it for a little bit, and I think ultimately it was the thing that caused me to have problems, because I would feel like I didn't have time to cook, and then I would just eat out, and then eat out more. And eventually got to a point where it's like 90% of the time I was eating out. And that's definitely not good, because a lot of those foods that they cook, they're high in salt, and then if you're hypertensive like I am, or you're diabetic, even sugars, things that, hamburgers have carbs in them because those buns are just sugar loaded. So, yeah, it was always a bad balancing act for me growing, and basically bad eating habits that created, the problem that I run into now. And so the real big thing is cook your meals. Nowadays, I'm probably cooking, I want to say, nowadays it's probably a flip. So while I was eating out maybe 90% of the time prior to my heart attack, nowadays I'm cooking at least more than I have been. So I want to say maybe 80% I'm cooking now to maybe 85% I'm cooking, and it, I'm dating someone, so they're cooking part of the time too, so it evens out a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, nutrition is really key to eating well. And now that, I have all these issues that I can try and fix, it's a situation of making sure you eat healthy. And so eating healthy doesn't necessarily mean you have to eat without flavor, completely anyway. For me, it's more of a situation of balancing all the foods that I eat, and taking away the foods that I always eat, and making them a sometimes food or every now and then food. So rich foods, like I used to eat a lot. The takeout I used to eat used to be rich fatty foods. So that was a horrible situation for me. But keeping away from that stuff and making it a every now and then meal has definitely helped. And factoring in more healthy foods, just because it's healthy doesn't necessarily mean it has to be flavorless. So I have been working on that, like salads. I've been using like different things like sunflower seeds. Nowadays, salads are meal prepped in such a way that you can buy like your own salad at a grocery store or something, and it'll be fine. So, but yeah, I've just been trying to balance my meal more, and it has helped me. I feel a lot better. I tend to sleep a lot better now, eating more balanced foods, and getting actual nutrition value from all the foods I've eaten. So the real key thing for people in general, not with just a heart attack or diabetes, is, some of those richer foods, make sure they're maybe or every now and then food versus all the time or 3/4 of the time. It's really what got me into trouble. Is I started eating a lot of fast food, and that's a killer in itself. But it was a lot of rich food I ended up eating over the course of a few years. And going that pace where I was eating out, 90% of the time, it was a bad route to take. So, but yeah, so nutrition wise, make sure you just kind of stay on the straight and narrow if you have to. Again, as I said before, my typical week is usually some type of oats in the morning, like a salad, or if I factor in a burger every now and then, that's fine too. or even like a chicken breast or chicken thighs. Again, it's one of those things to cook them healthily too. Um, Not as much salt as you would typically use, at least in my case, just because of my limitations. And then something like I had turkey tacos um, for dinner just a few days ago. So um, it's one of those things where, again, it's a balancing act. Um, but yeah, I mean, I know it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same for everyone. It might be similar. It might be completely different. Some people may even have a more restrictive diet. But the situation is to try and keep things realistic. Again, as I said before, if you've got a 10, 12-inch plate, don't eat 10, 12 inches of food. Eat an actual serving size. And I know for some people, measuring out a serving size is ridiculous, but if you're not offsetting it with proper exercise, you will gain weight, and it's crappy. So please, make sure it's nutritious in the sense that you're feeding your body, and your body can get moving and do the things that you need it to do. But at the same time, you got to stay healthy. I really don't want people to get into the situation I did. The whole breaking open the chest and having to fix the heart is horrible. I know we have professionals that are excellent at their jobs, but in all of this, I don't want anybody to get through the same situation that I did, or a similar situation that I did. So please stay healthy, guys. I do thank you guys who have subscribed. I'll be posting another video this coming Thursday. Hopefully being back on track. And I do thank you all who have subscribed. And, click the bell if you want to continue seeing more content from me. Again, thank you for everyone who has stayed through these videos. I know sometimes they seem pretty disorganized, but there is a plan there. And I will see you guys in the next one, and you guys have a good day. Bye.